Thank you for joining the COVID-19 and trauma presentation. My name is Pamela Ford, and I'm a Senior Advocate Investigator at Disability Rights Florida. This presentation was originally prepared for Family Cafe, June 11th through the 13th, 2021. As I previously mentioned, I'm a Senior Advocate Investigator in Special Education on the Advocacy, Education, and Outreach team at Disability Rights Florida. I volunteered for the Protection and Advocacy for Individuals with Mental Illness Council for Disability Rights Florida from 2013 to 2018. Another name for the council is the PAMI Council, and this is spelled in all capitals, PAIMI. I've worked for 11 years in the mental health field, 4 years at Bayview Community Mental Health Center, and 7 years at South Florida Behavioral Health Network. Both of those were in Miami-Dade County. I also managed the HIV/AIDS Health Education Program for the Florida Department of Health in Fort Lauderdale for 7 years. Disability Rights Florida. We are Florida's protection and advocacy agency. We have funding and authority under 9 different federal programs. We're a not-for-profit corporation since 1987. We offer free and confidential services, which include information and referral, advocacy, legal representation and negotiation, investigations and facility monitoring, access to education, employment, and independence, elimination of abuse and neglect, and we have offices in Tallahassee, Tampa, Hollywood, Gainesville, and satellite offices located throughout the state. Our mission is to advance the quality of life, dignity, equality, self-determination, and freedom of choice for persons with disabilities through collaboration, education, and advocacy, as well as legal and legislative strategies. COVID-19 and trauma. The topics that we're going to cover in this presentation include COVID-19, trauma and mental health, coping strategies, special education, housing, and employment. COVID-19, trauma, and mental health. COVID-19 has been an extremely stressful event that has affected everyone. Trauma is a deeply distressing and disturbing experience, and COVID-19 can cause traumatic experiences or intensify previous traumas. For some of us, COVID-19 is the first traumatic experience that we've ever had. For others, COVID-19 has intensified previous traumas that we've experienced in our life. Many of us are experiencing isolation and loss. Many of us are sharing pain and sharing struggles, and we may be having overwhelming, misunderstood, and uncontrollable emotions and anxiety that won't go away. We are not alone in our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. COVID-19 is causing and increasing anxiety disorders. Anxiety may include feeling restless, on edge, being easily fatigued, have difficulty concentrating, being irritable, having difficulty controlling feelings of worry, and sleep problems. COVID-19 is also causing and increasing depression disorders. Depression is a constant feeling of sadness, loss of interest or pleasure in daily activities, and problems with sleep, eating, energy, concentration, and self-worth. COVID-19 is a traumatic event that we all are experiencing. Most of us probably have post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, and this can occur after a person has been through trauma. The effects of COVID-19 have affected pre-existing mental health disorder symptoms, and these can interfere with activities of daily living, such as taking care of oneself, bathing, getting dressed, cooking, relationships, schoolwork, and job performance. It's important to learn coping strategies for mental health challenges, build a support system, both virtual and in person, and seek professional help. Some coping strategies to help you with trauma and mental health include increasing your knowledge and knowing your rights. Knowledge is power, so the more that you know about a subject or a potential situation, the more confident you'll feel. Make social connections, both virtually and in person. Family Cafe is a wonderful opportunity to make connections. Accept that change is a part of living. Something that will always be constant in life is that there will always be change. Look for opportunities for self-discovery. COVID-19 did give many of us a chance to have a little bit more time and take up hobbies or other creative endeavors that we never thought we might, such as gardening, painting, photography, kayaking, bicycling. Nurture a positive view of yourself. Try to replace negative thoughts about yourself with positive thoughts. Maintain a hopeful outlook. Tomorrow is a new day. Keep things in perspective. Try not to sweat the small stuff. Take care of yourself, whether this means exercising, eating healthy, sleeping, binging on Netflix series, eating chocolate once in a while, or as much as you would like. Whatever it takes to take care of yourself, please do that, and you know yourself best and you know how to take care of yourself. And move towards your goals, whether those goals are set for one day, such as I'm going to get up today and I'm going to brush my teeth and I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to go outside and get some sunlight. Whether you're going to set goals for a week, a month, a year, 5 years, only you know best how to set up your goals and for what length of time. You can connect with others through Family Cafe, and the web address is familycafe.net. You can also access mental health resources through Disability Rights Florida, the disabilityrightsflorida.org website. There's a lot of different disability topics, and just click on the one that's for mental health. You can also access mental health resources through the Florida Department of Children and Families. There's a typo on this slide. I forgot to put "and families," but the web address for them is www.myflfamilies.com, myflfamilies.com. Special education. COVID-19 has triggered many changes in K-12 education. Special education students have been and continue to be the most affected group of students. Structured routine, which is a special education strategy, disappeared in the spring of 2020. Parents of special education students have struggled to find ways to encourage their children to engage with virtual education and/or make the transition back to in-person learning. When schools closed in the spring of 2020, the U.S. Department of Education declared there would be no special education waivers, which in theory meant that the special education students, if they were receiving specialized instruction, services, and supports in person, they were to receive those same things virtually. As we know, this was not the case. In fact, many families did not even have access to virtual education. Maybe they didn't have a laptop, or they didn't have access to Wi-Fi. All the timelines, services, and regulations in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, IDEA, remain in force. Under IDEA, students with disabilities are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, F-A-P-E. IDEA guides how states, school districts, and public agencies provide early intervention, special education, and related services to eligible infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities. Special education is called Exceptional Student Education, or ESE, in Florida. Children with disabilities who are eligible under IDEA and ESE has an individual education plan, or an IEP. It is an individualized written plan that documents the need for specialized instruction, supports, and services. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 prohibits discrimination based on a disability in public preschools, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary schools receiving federal financial assistance. Under Section 504, students with disabilities have rights to reasonable accommodations outlined in a 504 plan. Extended School Year, or ESY, is a service necessary to ensure students are receiving FAPE, or Free Appropriate Public Education. Compensatory education is a legal remedy used to make up for services that should have been provided to the student but were not. The legal standards for compensatory education and ESY remain in effect during COVID-19. If you want more information about special education, you could go to the Disability Rights Florida website, go to the Topics section, and click on Special Education. If you feel that your child is entitled to compensatory education or ESY, or should have a 504 plan or an IEP plan, or they do have a plan and it's not being implemented correctly, please contact Disability Rights Florida. Housing. COVID-19 has affected housing for many people. It's important to know your rights for legal reasons and to reduce your stress level. Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act is the Fair Housing Act. The intent of the Fair Housing Act is to ban discrimination on the basis of race, color, sex, religion, national origin, and disability in most housing transactions. Families with children are also protected. The Fair Housing Act requires owners and landlords to make reasonable accommodations if the accommodation is necessary to ensure that a person with a disability has equal opportunity to use and enjoy the dwelling or space. Some examples of reasonable accommodations include allowing a person with a disability to mail the rent instead of delivering it to the office, assigning a parking space closest to the exit or unit to tenants with mobility disabilities, allowing persons with disabilities to keep service or quality of life animals despite a general no pets policy, not counting a home health aide, therapist, nurse, etc. as an additional tenant or guest, allowing a tenant to move to a more suitable unit when one becomes available, releasing a tenant with disabilities who must move because of his or her disability from lease requirements. Now, a reasonable modification is a physical change that needs to be made to the living space or a common area to make sure that a person with a disability has full enjoyment of the dwelling or space. Some examples of reasonable modifications include building ramps over steps to allow wheelchair access, installing lever door openers instead of knob openers, widening door openings by installing swing-away hinges or wider pocket doors, installing grab bars and handrails, installing wheelchair accessible shower stalls, changing tub faucets to an offset location, removing under the sink cupboards in bathrooms, and lowering light switches. Now, modifications are usually made at the tenant's or owner's expense, except in the case of federally funded housing. Some aspects of housing accessibility are covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, of 1990. Title II of the ADA covers the activities of state and local governments. Title II requires public entities to make both new and existing housing facilities accessible to persons with disabilities. Title III of the ADA covers public accommodations. It also covers public and common use areas at housing developments. Some aspects of housing accessibility are covered by Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. Public housing and entities receiving housing choice vouchers are covered under the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. If you would like more information about housing as well as resources, please go to the Disability Rights website, click on the Topics section, and then click on Housing. Employment. COVID-19 has affected employment for many people. It's important to know your rights and resources to reduce your stress level. Title I of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, of 1990 prohibits discrimination in the workplace. Title I has been designed to address and remove barriers to employment so individuals with disabilities can enjoy the same employment opportunities as people without disabilities. A qualified individual with a disability has a right to engage in America's workforce free of discrimination by businesses with 15 or more employees. For additional information on the ADA and reasonable accommodations in the workplace, there are these 4 websites that you can access. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is the EEOC. The website is www.eeoc.gov. There's the Job Accommodation Network, which is JAN. The website is askjan.org. That's askjan.org. There's the U.S. Department of Justice ADA Technical Assistance Program. The website is www.ada.gov. There's also the Able Trust, and the website is www.abletrust.org. Able Trust is spelled ABLETRUST. Another website is the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology, also known as FAST, F-A-A-S-T, and the website for that is fast.org. The Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, or DVR, and the Division of Blind Services, DBS, is Florida's largest employment program serving the needs of Floridians with disabilities. Both programs provide an array of employment supports and job placement assistance to eligible individuals with disabilities. Services are individualized and based on a person's needs and employment goals. To reach the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, go to the website www.rehabworks.org. RehabWorks is spelled R-E-H-A-B as in boy, W-O-R-K-S. There's also the Division of Blind Services, and that website is D as in dog, B as in boy, s.myflorida.com. Some other organizations that you can contact if you're looking for a job include Employ Florida. The website for that is www.employflorida.com. Employ Florida is spelled E-M as in Mary, P-L-O-Y, Florida.com. There's the Employer Assistance and Recruiting Network, also known as EARN, E-A-R-N as in Nancy. The website for that is askearn.org. So that's ASKEARN as in Nancy.org. There's ABLE, and the website for that is www.ableunited.com. Able United is spelled A-B-L-E-U-N-I-T-E-D. And this is different than the Able Trust that I mentioned a couple slides ago. There's also the Chamber of Commerce for persons with disabilities. Website is disabilitychamber.org. This slide includes all the websites that I used for this presentation. Some of them include familycafe.net, the disabilityrightsflorida.org site. There's also the National Institutes of Health, National Alliance for Mental Illness, and rightslaw.com, where you'll find a lot of special education laws, as well as helpful hints that have been posted by professionals as well as family members. 2022 Public Input Planning Survey is done, and it is on our website. Your input really matters to us, so please visit the link below between now and July 31st to complete our annual Public Input Planning Survey. And your responses will help us plan our goals, priorities, and objectives for 2022. If you don't have a slide in front of you, you can go to our website, disabilityrightsflorida.org, and then /survey to access the survey there. Thank you for joining in this presentation. Disability Rights Florida's 800 number is listed on the slide. That is 1-800-342-0823. Also listed is our main office in Tallahassee. You're welcome to call us at the 800 number, but if you'd rather contact us through email, please go to the website, disabilityrightsflorida.org, and there will be instructions about how to do that.